Craggy's Connacht Rugby podcast. I'm Rob Murphy, and Dave's been frustrated with my 5 takes to start this podcast. But on the 6th take, even Alan, and all of you who know him, it takes a lot for Alan to get. Even he got frustrated. How are you, Alan?
Yeah, happy with the win. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's my start to this podcast, sum up the performance. Andy, I waited 4 questions in the interview that you're going to hear, folks, where I asked Andy Friend what he thought of the performance. Whew, he wasn't impressed.
Well, no, but to be honest with you, this really wasn't much. This was not about... It's almost like the match was incidental. It was almost incidental. But it was primarily about, we didn't lose, that's the main thing. We got a 5-point bonus win. No one's going to care as much about what was happening at the end of the game as at the game. It would have been an awful lot worse if Zebre had actually come back. I mean, it was a case you could argue that they could have come back and taken a win, but they didn't. And then people could focus on what they really all came to say, which is say goodbye to the players. And honestly, this is for the first time I've been going, this was an event where there happened to be a rugby match on, rather than this was a rugby match that turned into an event.
Interesting stuff. William Davis chatting to Ultan Dillane. He talked to Eoghan Masterson. I chatted to Andy Friend.
He got a hug off Ultan Dillane.
Yeah.
Fair play.
We all got hugs out there off Eoghan Masterson as well. I don't know if we want to spend too much time on this game. I'll say this, Alan. No. You've done commentaries with me, and I think you'll really appreciate that was hard ploughing, that commentary.
Oh, well, listen, the in-match stuff, we forgot to do the start. We were 23 minutes in before we did the 20. We just about did half-time. We were 65 minutes to do the 60.
Because I think it's lost to the ethers now, but I think I spent the longest ever segment of a game where I didn't commentate. Now, it's only possible because of Reflink, but I let one Reflink chat as a scrum go for at least 1 minute and 40 seconds without talking on a radio commentary because I was not bothered.
Yeah, and most of the crowd felt like that. You'll hear William in the thing talking about it. I felt like I was sitting in Lord's. There was so much hubbub going on. I almost expected a little pops of champagne corks to pop out.
It was a permanent half-time. That's what it was. From here, it was...
Except for the last 5 minutes where everyone went, if we lose this, it's going to be embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no different view. I started listening to the hurling.
Well, I couldn't do that. Of course, I could have just turned up feedback from studio.
You were probably you were the person in the best position to listen.
I could have done that, but that would have been quite distracting, and I was already struggling. I know, I did my best. So we put this game to bed. Here's a few snippets of the in-game, and then let's get straight to Andy Friend. He gave us a lot of time out on the pitch. This is after James Heaslip had interviewed and presented to the players who were leaving. A really good ceremony, lots of atmosphere to that as well. Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, I caught some of that, so if it sounds good, I'll leave it in.
So, brace yourselves or stay tuned for that, for Andy Friend, and come back to us before we link into the interviews for the lads.
Just gone past 23 minutes, William. We forgot to do the start, or I forgot to do the start. We were even a bit late for the 20 minute section. Connacht lead 10 points to 3, and they're getting better as the game goes on.
Yeah, they've settled into it a bit now. It has a real end of term feel, end of season feel to it. People in the clan having a few pints and a few coffees, and they're chatting away. There's a hum of conversation. It hasn't really been very good rugby so far. Hopefully it'll pick up a bit. But Connacht, when they get inside the 22, look as if they mean business. Zebre haven't really threatened. So they've just got to keep their concentration. But 2 good tries, well worked, some nice passing, and you'd expect Connacht to see this out pretty comfortably. But they just want to turn this opportunity into points, I think.
Here we are, and that looks like Eoghan Masterson getting a try on his last game for Connacht, because the whole team have just run in to congratulate him, so that's wonderful to see.
Okay, William, half-time score is Connacht 17, Zebre 8, and it's almost like a classic end to a half for Connacht this season. They let a try in, they didn't have to.
Yeah, they've switched off a little bit. It's a very odd feel to this game. I mean, it really, as I said it in that 20-minute piece, it's end of season. I suspect they don't have the hairdryer these days in dressing rooms, so I think there'll be a little bit of a discussion as they need to step it up a bit. If they put a bit of pace to this game, they'll easily beat Zebre. But they slacked off a bit there. I think they thought they'd already got the job done. So I'm sure Andy Friend will be encouraging them to get out and actually get the job done.
They will indeed. Oh my God, it's an invasion of mini rugby players onto the pitch. Wow, that's an awesome sight. It really is a last day for me here. I'm on 65 minutes rather than 60. Connacht lead 22 points to 8. The benches have been emptied and it's a mess of a game.
Yeah, it is really. The excuse is that we had to deal with a lot of substitutions, and here are Zebre are still giving it a bit of a go. Connacht have done all right here. It's just end of season stuff.
Some superb play from Zebre there, as they go from their own 22 to the Connacht 22.
Yeah, they're pulling out the tricks a little bit. I suppose there's players here and I want to enjoy their last bit of play for the season. Connacht making the tackles. I think the biggest cheers have been for the players coming on, like Ultan Dillane, and of course huge cheer for Eoghan Masterson coming off. Very emotional for them because this is the final time they'll come out in front of the clan. They'll be getting a presentation later on. And I think a lot of people are here for that, and it's good to see. It's a decent crowd in, but there's a funny hubbub of conversation. I think people are kind of waiting for the end. They want to just cheer on these players. Connacht still, they're going to get this job done, but maybe the end can't quite come soon enough.
Okay, William, that was a bit like our season. It sort of deteriorated and it looked like Zebre were going to win that in the end. Sorry, the final score being Connacht 22, Zebre 20.
Well, they held on for the win, but really from the time that Marmion and Carty went off, it got very, very shapeless. Connacht did make some good tackles there at the end, but yeah, it's a bit like the whole season, lack of consistency, and yeah, I think they'll be just glad it's done and dusted. But that was poor. It was a poor game of rugby. Zebre are, they've won one game out of 18. Connacht have won 9 out of 18 in this competition, but that's one that isn't going to live in the memory for very long, I'm afraid. It was very average, and Connacht again, it's the same faults we're seeing all the time, and they're going to have to rectify them before next season. There's just the only thing consistent about them is their lack of consistency.
A special presentation to the first ever female, leading the way, the first ever female president of Connacht Rugby. She's going to come on up here. Give her a warm welcome to Anne Heenan. Did 2 years for all those things. Thanks, Anne. Show your appreciation for Sammy Arnold. The next man, big centre, strongest backs ever to grace the pitch. Came off the bench in 2016, Pro 12 final, made 49 caps. Let's hear it from Peter Rob. Our next player up, unfortunately, as you know, had to retire 12 months ago, but came back with us tonight. He's a local boy. Finally getting the send-off he deserves. One more time, let's hear for Shawnee O'Brien. Next player joined the club from New Zealand straight after the Pro 12 win. He earned 72 caps in all. He was a regular size and tight head prop. Put your hands together for Dominic Robertson McCoy. Now we go on to our 3 Centurions. First up was a great guy, called Connacht his home since 2013. 118 caps, Eoghan Masterson. The next player joined the academy as a cherub-faced 18-year-old way back in 2012. Leads the club 10 years later with 19 Ireland caps, 126 appearances, and on his day, and still one of the best locks in the country. Show your appreciation for Ultan Dillane. And now we got to talk to him earlier, but the microphone didn't work properly, but he's a good-looking man. All you have to do is look at it and appreciate him. He's here, you automatically think of the Pro 12 final, you think of Matt Healy and his try. He's one of the 558 tries he scored for Connacht, I'm sure, making him Connacht's all-time top try scorer, 151 caps. Ladies and gentlemen, finally put your hands together for the great Matt Healy.
I'm on the pitch with Andy Friend, which is a great thing to be able to say. Before we talk about anything else, Andy, to see the crowd here. I was at an end-of-season game last year against the Ospreys. I think it was last year. I've lost track of the years. Yeah. Where there was just obviously COVID protocol, no one here. So I guess that's a starting point. It's lovely to be able to give players the right send-off.
It really is, mate. And that's one of the things we've missed, Rob. So, yeah, great to see. Great to see a lot of supporters still here. Sending off the 12 men that we're sending off in such a positive way, and they deserve that, and the players that have over the last couple of years that have missed that, they've deserved that too, so it's nice to have that back.
One thing I heard on the pitch was when Sammy Elo was on, it was Eoghan Masterson's voice in that last scrum that was roaring him on. And it was nearly making me emotional in the commentary, because we all remember what Eoghan has done here over the last 8 or 9 years, and to hear him to the very end encouraging his players. There are some incredible characters in this group. What's it like to say goodbye to players like that?
Yeah, it's tough, mate. Like, yeah, you've got Eoghan, you've got Ultan Dillane, Matt Healy. Oh, you could go through them all. They all add something. They bring something special, and it is hard. And Eoghan has been a leader for the whole time I've been here, on and off the football field. Yeah, so he's one of 12 that is leaving, and they all bring something very special, and they all bring something that we're going to miss.
And you've coached in a lot of different places. What is the Sportsground crowd? What makes them different than other grounds?
I just think it's the closeness we have with them, and you know, we talk about community, but we are part of their community, they're part of our community. I think that's really special. Yeah, there's a warmth, and there's a genuineness and an authenticity around their support, and also the way I think that we interact with them. So it's really special.
I'm sure you're sick of being asked to sum up the season, because it's one of the hardest seasons to sum up. But today wasn't the way you wanted to finish, I'd say, performance-wise. Result-wise, though, it'll do the job.
Yeah, but that summed up our season, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was so frustrating. Like, you know, some brilliant bits, but then some bits that you look at it and you think, what the F are we doing, you know? But that's the season we've had, mate. And yeah, we needed a game to depict the way we played all year. That was it there.
And look, it is that kind of campaign. I mean, I was looking back at one of our McNulty's last starts here was against Stad, and a huge night where Connacht won, and that was only a few weeks on from Ulster. But at the same time, we all know those home games that you really regret now. The Dragons, the Glasgow game, they're the ones that really stick in the mind.
Yeah, they do. You know, those performances, our Edinburgh performance away. Yeah, we've had too many performances that we coulda, woulda, and shoulda, and we didn't. So, you know, and again, you know, we shouldn't be giving teams life, but we do. We give them life, and it's our own doing that gives them life in terms of the errors we make or the way that, you know, the options that we take. We had them on the ropes at 24 minutes, 17-3, all momentum going our way, and then we start to play loose footy. And all of a sudden they come back in, and we go into the break 17-8. We come out, we get another score, righto, 22-8. We can kick away from here, but we choose not to. So, you know, we've got to grow up as a footy team, and that's the biggest thing.
Did the new players coming in help you do that? Did they solve some of the problems?
Yeah, there's definitely some experience coming in and some professionalism coming in, which I think is going to really help us. But it's up to the boys that are here and that we're keeping that, you know, again, they need to step up now too. We all do, as a collective, as a coaching staff, as a playing staff, as a head coach. We all just need to step up and take it to a new level next year, and that's the intention.
2-3 weeks into pre-season, are you going to be looking for some signs that things have changed? Is that your way of thinking about this? You're looking for a fresh start?
I'll know from the minute they walk back in here after pre-season how we're looking. What we can't do is go away and switch off and have 5 weeks off and come back and try and start to, you know, or try to start to get the season rolling the week we come back in. That's got to start. I'm more than happy for people to have two or three or probably 2 weeks off, and then you're professional football. I keep saying it's a bit like brushing your teeth. You don't stop brushing your teeth because you go on holiday. You've got to keep working. So that's their job. They've got to keep working, and we'll see when they come back in how serious they are about that.
This is just a curiosity question to finish, but what happens with the players who are on the fringe of the Ireland team, who've been involved in the Irish camp? How do they keep themselves ticking over?
Well, they need to know who they are first, so, you know, hopefully we'll get some information about who they're looking at, and then, you know, we're going to train for the next week and a bit.
Right.
Yeah, and then we'll exit our exiting players on Wednesday officially, and everyone else will keep training until I think it's the 31st of May, and then anyone that's been tapped on the shoulder, we'll keep them going until the 13th of May, where there's going to be an Irish camp. The 13th of June, sorry, there'll be an Irish camp. So that's the intention there.
Andy, final question then: is this team capable of top 8 rugby? They're not there this year, and that was the target. Do you feel you have a squad next year to make amends? Yeah,
I really do. You know, and we've shown this year we can play the footy that can hurt teams with the ball, and we can stop teams without the ball. But we've been too inconsistent with that. So it is definitely there within our grasp. We've just got to be the team that then delivers that on a more consistent basis. So I'll give us a well, we get a pass mark just because we've scored 50, or we've had 50% success rate. So we'll give ourselves a pass mark of 50%. We've got a bit of growth to do.
When you look back now, how disappointed are you in terms of your expectations?
Yeah, I am disappointed because, as I said, we've seen the good things that we can do. And then, if we never produced any good footy, you'd say, well, we're just not a good footy team. Well, we are. So the expectations are, well, because most of the areas we make are controllable. So the expectation is control the controllables and let's stay being a good footy team. But we choose not to. So that then brings frustration. And based to answer your question, my expectation is that we're more accurate and we have better control more often. So I do get frustrated.
Okay, but when you look at your squad, is it part of the fact that you have a squad that you probably have at least 15 to 20 who you would say really good players, but your squad, as you go further down towards the 30th or 35th, is not quite where you want them to be?
Yeah, but that's what we've got. So that's not a crutch. That's just what we've got. That's an opportunity for them to grow and for us to grow. So we've got to look at ourselves in terms of how we're leading them and how we're coaching them and how we're guiding them to be better. And there's definitely growth in that area too. So, but that's who we are here at Connacht Rugby. That's what we've got. We don't have the budgets of others, but that shouldn't stop us. We've seen that previously. There's no way you win a Pro 12 as it was back then. Very similar situation. You need a bit of luck with it, and our luck will come, but we're not going to sit here and say we haven't got the squad and we need this, we need that. We've got the players that can be there. Just got to be better at doing it.
So when you look back to that Pro 12 as it was then win, what is the difference between that squad? As you said, it wasn't the best squad, but it could win. What was the difference between that there and now that the squad you have?
Well, I wasn't here, but I've watched the games, and I said you need a little bit of luck, and momentum went their way too with things. And Pat and his coaching group did an amazing job. And that's what we're trying to emulate. Not exactly what they did in their own little way, as is the other 15 teams in the competition. Everyone wants to win the thing. So we're trying to play a brand of footy that's a little bit different. I think some of that worked this year. Some of it, upon reflection, we go back and say, okay, well, it possibly gives us too many opportunities to opposition if we don't get that right. So we'll come out next year with a style that we think will help us. I think a 4G pitch out here is going to be really beneficial for us because, to me, that suits the game style we want to play and suits the playing squad that we've got. So, those things will help us. Another year playing this style of football is going to help us. And let's wait and see what next year brings. Okay,
I don't want to harp on about the squad that you have, but you talk about the game that suits you, and that's fine. But when you come up against like big packs and the big forward men and the physicality, where do you believe you'll stand at the moment?
There are bigger teams. Let's be honest. There's bigger teams than us, but as I said, that's a style. So we need to be smart with that. We need to not try and get in those arm wrestles. But if we get in the arm wrestles, we need to know that our systems are good enough to halt them. And but then we need to go back to our style, which is probably going to move them around a little bit more. So, listen, we're not going to be the biggest squad. We aren't this year. We're not going to be next year. But hopefully we're the quickest squad, and hopefully we're the most skillful squad, and our game style can do damage to opposition.
So you're happy taking a break. What is the next few weeks in store for you?
Well, we'll have a break in about 10 days' time, and then I'll be in the motorhome with Kez, and we'll be travelling this beautiful country, having a few wines, a few whiskies, a few beers, jumping on a mountain bike every other day or a road bike every other day, doing some bushwalks and seeing this great country, then come back refreshed and ready to go.
Sounds like you have a TV series there.
You'll be doing hard pressed following me.
A podcast, perhaps.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your help and support too. Cheers.
Welcome back to the Clan Terrace. That was Andy Friend. We're going to hear from Ultan Dillane and Eoghan Masterson. Do we go straight?
Cian Prendergast.
Cian Prendergast interview as well.
Yeah.
Williams, I just did one interview.
Yeah, but that's because you don't have the contacts that William has.
He does all the work.
Even though they're exactly the same contacts, you don't have the ones he has.
Here we are. Let's listen to all three of them. He'll give us a chance to say fair play to Ultan Dillane. He's just walking out. The last of the interviews will be Ultan Dillane. Before that, Eoghan Masterson will start with the man who was named Fans Player of the Year this year, Cian Prendergast, speaking with William Davies, the busiest man on the pitch.
Cian, that was maybe a bit tougher at the end than everybody expected, because 60 minutes, it was a kind of a cruise, and then it got tight.
Yeah, look, I think we didn't stick to our game plan. We tried to do fancy stuff by ourselves and try to win the game by ourselves and get moments by ourselves, and that's just not what Pete's asked us to do. And look, it's on us that we got to get better next season with that kind of stuff and close out games, because with the team we want to be, we've got to be able to close out games like that and win by multiple scores, because that really wasn't acceptable towards the end.
Yeah, the issue this season probably has been maybe not enough bonus points at times and not closing out games. Is that a mindset thing or concentration? What are you putting it down to?
Look, I think it's part of our growth as a group. I think people are yet to realise that this coaching staff is it's actually basically new, because everyone's in different roles except for Friendly. So we're still learning about each other, we're still learning. The group is changing completely next year as well. So look, it's part of our growth, and we're going to aim to fix that in pre-season and go from there, and hopefully have a more successful season and push for things we want to push for next year.
You played a lot of rugby this season, you've started a lot of games, but today you were playing at 8. Is that something that you're looking to do, or was that an experiment because just a couple of knocks?
Yeah, look, I'll play wherever I'm picked, but to be honest, what happened was Jared was meant to play. Jared picked up an injury in training on Thursday, so he couldn't play, so the back row had to shift. So that's literally what happened. So look, it's not something that everyone's like, it's not everyone thinks it's a master plan that it's happening. It just literally happened. So look, it's another thing that I can add to my CV, that I can play number 8, but I'm still learning that position. I'm still learning my position at the moment. So look, I'll play wherever I'm picked.
But is it, how different a position is it? Because there was one period, one issue, scrum in the first half, you were being driven back, you picked it up, drove through and got round, and I thought, okay, that's real number 8 play. It was pretty. It's a different game, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's number 8 is it's a bit more. You're a bit more involved in the action. Like 6, you're probably a bit more patient defensively. You're out wider in attack, so you got to be a bit more patient. Whereas number 8, you're kind of in the thick of it all the time. So look, it's different in that sense. But at the end of the day, rugby's rugby, and it's still 15 players. And I'm still a forward, so we all have the same role.
Ireland are going to New Zealand. They're playing 5 games. They're going to be bringing a very big squad. Do you think you have a chance of getting in there, maybe? Do you expect the call to come up to what will be a very, very big camp, especially as Leinster have the Champions Cup final? Would that be something that might be on the horizon?
Yeah, look, I haven't really thought about it. To be honest, it'd be a privilege. Anytime anyone is asked to go into a camp or even just appear in a squad is a privilege. But look, whatever happens. I haven't really given it much thought. I've just been delighted with this season that I've got a run of games. I haven't been delighted with the results, but it's been great to get game time and experience pro rugby for a full year.
What will you do now? How long do you'll be doing reviews? Then how much time off are you getting? I hear the season's starting a bit earlier next year.
Yeah, look, I think we have a season review next week, and then little bits of training here and there, but I think we'll be back mid-July, striving frothing at the mouth to go. I think the group is really looking to go forward. The coaching staff's hungry, the players are hungry, and we really want to improve, because at the moment we're not where we want to be or need to be.
How's your head? What are you thinking? It's such an emotional day for everybody here. We've just seen the players get in their presentations, the fans waiting back to talk to players.
Yeah, I'm holding it together a lot better than I thought I would. It's I've obviously known for a long time, I'm just very, very grateful for the chance to play today. Not everyone even got the chance. Got to play alongside my brother, and still just about keeping it together. But no, look, I'm so grateful for the experiences I've had for the last 9 years. Achieved a lot of what I wanted to do. Probably more that I didn't achieve that I wanted to do, and just looking forward to what's next, which I don't know what's next, but I'm excited for whatever it is.
Well, I saw you make your debut, because I've been trekking up here a long, long time, and we've chatted many, many times, and it's just, I suppose, these things happen, but is the challenges going ahead, is that something that keeps you going? Are you thinking that there's something new coming down the horizon now?
Yeah, my journey in professional rugby has been different, and I'm very proud of it. I'm proud to come from Portlaoise. I'm proud of my connections to the West. I feel like I'm a Portlaoise man, but I'm a Connacht man as well. And wherever I go, I'm going to come back here. And yeah, like as I said, it's been a windy road for me to be a professional player. And I hope at the end of my career, whenever that is, that I'll have another windy chapter to add. I still see myself playing at the highest level. Some people probably say I'm a bit delusional, but yeah, I'm just excited to embrace whatever's next. Getting married in August, I have the most unbelievable supportive fiance ever, and we're just excited for what's next. And yeah, I can't wait, and hopefully add another funny, curvy chapter to this rugby journey. It's been a privilege. I've loved looking back. I love the experience. Obviously, there's been hard days. There's been terrible performances and results, but it's all experience. It's all, and when you look back on it all, it's really nice.
Oh, I'm going to let you go. It's been an absolute privilege to watch you, and it's been a privilege to talk to you on many occasions. I hope everything works out really well for you, and I hope we do see you back here.
Thank you very much, William. Thank you. You will.
Ultan, it all ended about maybe half an hour ago. The referee's whistle went. There's been the presentation. The ground is emptying out. What's in your head at the moment?
A bit of a surreal feeling that it's finished for me. Finished for now, certainly. But just, I suppose I've just been reflecting on such amazing memories I've had here over the last 10 years. Seeing so many people from my family and Tralee, ex-rugby Tralee players I played with like 11 years ago all come up. It kind of brings it all in of how much I suppose how much memories, how much time I spent here. But the positives certainly outweigh the negatives. So it's very sad to be leaving.
It's difficult when something like this happens, but there's a new chapter for you to open. But what are the memories of here, and how special is this place? It is different. I mean, I go to a lot of rugby grounds all over the place, and I talk to a lot of teams, but there's something a little bit special about the Sportsground. Yeah,
I mean, it's the dog track, the sandy ring around the pitch, the humbleness of the clan stand and the main stand, and all that. And when it comes to special occasions, certainly derby matches or Champions Cup, it just comes alive. It's been unbelievable to have the chance to play in all of those occasions and certainly come out on the good ends of them. But yeah, it's hard to put into words without getting emotional of how much this place means to me, and I suppose anyone else that's been here for a number of years. Yeah, so it'll be missed.
Well, you will be missed. We wish you well. I hope everything goes well for you in the future, and we might see you back here at some stage. You never know.
You never know. Thanks, William.
We're off for pints soon. Lindley Mackenzie's finishing her article up there. We'll have her back on the pod in the end of season wrap, but we'll leave her finish her article. William Davis, those were emotional interviews, and that was just you crying.
Yeah, it was, to talk to Eoghan Masterson. Pretty certain I saw him and Ultan Dillane make their debuts here anyway. I don't know if they started away, but I mean, look, the amount of rugby you watch, two key players. One came back from that injury. That's one of the worst things I've ever seen on a rugby field. It happened straight in front of me in Zebre, and it was hideous at the time, and you thought, well, he'll do well to come back from that, but he came back. He's had a very good career. He wants to go on and play somewhere else. Ultan, Irish international, heartbeat of the team, and I think a new challenge for him, and I think that's something that's important to him. I think he's probably been aware for a while that he needed that, and we'll see how it goes for him.
Eoghan Masterson has become a contact for many sports players around the country who go through that injury as an exact example at those early stages of a guy you want to ring. We all think, we've said in the podcast during the week in our end of season wrap, Dave, you were on that with Packy and Danny, that we think Eoghan's going to be a coach. He thinks he wants to get into coaching one day, but for now he still wants to play. And Ultan Dillane, some great stories on that podcast if you haven't heard from it. Part 1 of our season wrap. Packy had some great stories on Ultan Dillane, and look, we all have great memories of both players because they're part of our championship winning side and our greatest ever season.
They certainly were, and you know, for me it was Eoghan after we beat Munster in Thomond Park for the first time ever, and I ran down into the tunnel underneath, and Eoghan sort of went by and said, "Oh no, any chance of an interview?" And he went, "I'll be back in a minute," and he left. And I went, "Oh, okay, that's the end of that." 1 minute later, Eoghan came back out and gave me a brilliant interview, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant! What a legend!" But 3 weeks later, or a little while later, we were playing in Newport. Now, whether it was later that season or the following season, and we just sort of rocked up, and Eoghan turned around and he looked and went, "Hi," and I went, "Oh, hi Al, how you doing?" I went, "Wow, that's impressive." This is like that's the level of detail he had off the field, which he also portrayed on the field, and was going to be, you know, possibly player of the season that year in the championship year before that horrible injury.
Dave, your thoughts before we move. Well, I hate moving on. Why would we move on from this? Talk to me though.
Oh, it's emotional.
It's
emotional, and the players are emotional, and some are moving on because they want to move on, some are moving on because there just isn't a place for them next season, and it was nice in, but they were all there. I think we have to mention is that, one, we weren't expecting, we knew the guys that were leaving. We weren't expecting Sean O'Brien, because I was talking to Sean.
The presentation of him.
I was speaking to Sean a couple of weeks ago in a non-rugby context, and I mentioned about there were stories about what's going to happen at a special event that may or may not be coming up over the next week or so, and he didn't know about it, so I didn't expect to see him tonight. It's great that I got a chance to send him off as well. I wish every one of those guys well. I wish them great luck in their future success, but there is something about Ultan, there is something about Eoghan that you want them to go really, really well, and maybe in your optimistic sense they may, especially with Eoghan, he may come back here. He may come back as a coach in some context. It's an unknown. It's an imponderable, but it's something you'd love to see.
Listeners heard me talking to Andy Friend there. I'm referencing specifically in Eoghan Masterson's final scrum for Connacht. It was his voice that was roaring at Sam Elo, that he was behind him, that right at the very end he was being the leader he always was. Lads, I'm going to ask you to do something that you're going to be grumpy about, but I want to do it because this is our final podcast of the season, and I want to wrap this podcast up out on the pitch. Well, it's our final podcast at a game podcast. Final game podcast. So it's our final game podcast. I'm going to drag you all out into the pitch because we're going to stand on the pitch because we're allowed to stand on the pitch because it's the last time we'll ever get to do this when it's a grass pitch. So let's do it. Okay, so we're walking down on the pitch, and that's a chance for me to tell you that Connacht won 22-20 with 4 tries. 1 try from Kieran Marmion to start the game. Niall Murray got the other one. I don't know, did you guys catch... Alan, did you catch Cian Prendergast's little show and go for that? That was amazing.
No, I missed it. No,
and we had a brilliant view. Oh, it was... He totally threw the dummy. And then, obviously, we got the try from Eoghan Masterson, which is a beautiful way to cap his final game in a Connacht jersey. Finishing then. Let's get on the pitch. We're on the pitch. No one's shouting at us. It doesn't matter. Final try then from John Porcher. Had a great game.
Yeah, John Porcher had a big game. Showed what he can do in open play and just got, he got stuck in. It was a very, what can you say about that performance? It was quite poor at times and they managed to get the win, but it's done and dusted. But John Porcher, I thought, had a really good game. Cian Prendergast was man of the match, whether you agree with man of the match or not, but I thought he had another massive, massive game at number 8. That fella's going to go a long way.
He certainly is. Fully agree. Can we? Are you talking about the hill there? Can we actually see the hill when we're out here? There is a.
It goes in the complete opposite direction that every South African thinks it goes in.
Oh yeah, it's true. But it's there. There's a bump down the corner. I always knew that bump was there.
No, it's definitely a hill. If we were to walk down,
end, right corner.
we're standing at the College Road end of or just inside the College Road half, and there's definitely an upslope.
An upslope indeed. And you better believe Eric Elwood, Jack Carty and many players either side of those great out-halves know exactly how to utilise those in the right way. Dave has left. He's going to come back. I think he's going to help Lindy out there with something, which is no harm. Okay, so to finish, it's nice to stand here. It's going to be a totally different place next year. I presume in a 4G service they'll get rid of any bumps.
Yeah, I think it'll be very level. This ground has been here since the early 1930s, so it's nearly 100 years old. It's a phenomenal surface. No matter how much rain falls in this part of the world, and we get plenty of it. This surface, this place to play rugby on grass is phenomenal.
That's why it's such a shame in one sense.
It is. I don't like artificial surfaces, but there they are. But this is where we are, and this is the last time we'll see a game on this grass surface. And we'll see next season it'll look totally different. It'll be a different colour green as well. I hope it's not quite as bright as the one in Glasgow, which is eye-wateringly green. And it's a unique moment. And when that sod turning happens, which will be very soon, I'm told, that'll be the start of the redevelopment of this ground, and what Connacht hope will be the next stage of their growth.
My first memory is being I think it was about 6, come and see Connacht play Fiji. I was at that game.
So was I.
Yeah.
But I wasn't 6.
But it's still a long time ago, even for any of us.
I first came here when I was 10 to see Connacht play New Zealand. That was in 1974. So that's a long time. And it didn't look anything like this, I can tell you. But the grass was still the same grass.
Yeah, I got here 1997. First game I saw here, there was only 3 steps on the Clan side.
Yeah.
There was a wooden scoreboard, which was manned by one of the leaders at the time, I believe. It might have been Greg. There was a wooden stand on the far side, and I was standing there, and I hadn't enjoyed any rugby club. I've only been here about 4 or 5 months, and I was standing there going, I suppose I better shout for Leinster. That's where I'm from originally. And then 3 lads come around wearing their camel skin and their scarves thrown across their neck, going, come on, Leinster, let's show these muckers how to play. And I went, okay, come on, Connacht, come on.
Is that the one we scored 2 late tries or something?
Well, exactly. The sun was shining, it was a beautiful day. Leinster scored 3 or 4 tries, and I went, oh God, what have I done to myself? And then it started to rain, and Connacht won, and I thought, well, I've picked the right team.
What a comeback. There was another comeback like that when Mike Ruddock was coaching them, and Mike Ruddock was right beside me when I was roaring in the terraces. Dave, what's your most special memory at this venue?
Oh God, jeez, let's think. It's the Glasgow semi-final.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I think I was going to go for that. Yeah.
But also, I do think the Harlequins game which was our first win in the Champions Cup, which was our first win in 14 games, and which will be indelibly linked in my head because it's the only time, because Chris Robshaw had put so much energy in, and it had been a horrible night that he left his body imprint on a chair in the old press room. I think today will be a memory as well because, as I say, the fans were here, and I think, yeah, those were the big ones. But yeah, and also the last one we had was John Mull's last game. That was a big one.
That was a brilliant one. The conversion. Oh, they haven't got over it. Right, finish on this. This place is going to look a lot different. Let's say in 5 years, because we don't know the exact timeline. COVID's disrupted. We know in one short span of a summer, it's going to look a hell of a lot different anyways with the pitch and floodlights changing coming as well. But the objective, though, is you and all 4 of us, hopefully, please God, will be standing here in a couple of years' time and we'll be looking around a very different venue.
Yeah, we will be. It's a unique place, the way it's set up at the moment. Steve Borthwick, from Leicester head coach, talked about it, what it meant to him to come here. And the fact that when you listen into the South Africans' television commentary, they know the history of it and they know that it is unique and it is different. And that is something that Connacht need to be very proud of. They need to try to guard as much of that as they can when the changes come. The atmosphere here when this place is going on a night game when it really matters is something else. The noise is unique, and I hope that is something that we continue to have. But the steps are ready to go. The pitch is the first thing, then the training facilities, then it'll roll on from there. It'll be a long project. I'm sure there'll be things that will tax everybody, especially if they try to play all their games here while it's going on. But it is the future, and the future, it has to happen.
Alan, I found a podcast with the late Leighton Turner on it, with Packy and myself and yourself from 2010 in town, where we talked about the new design for the Sportsground stand and how long overdue it was. I found it. I'm going to dig it up and we'll have to play it during the summer.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at 2010. Yeah, I might dig it up, see if I can pop it into this.
Because some of the things we talked about, it's just really interesting, and it's just we've been waiting for a long time, and even though it's a long journey ahead of us in terms of redevelopment, and even though there are nerves, you might lose certain bits, thank God it's happening.
Anyway, thank God it's happening. Yeah, I love the fact that, I think one of the reasons that it has that bounce that William was talking about is that, everybody stands. And when you're standing, it's your voice travels better. Everything you've got
energy.
You have more energy, and you can move around, and there's this. It's just more vibrant than sitting. I think when you're sitting, you're there to be entertained. When you're standing, you're there to support, and that's the bit that I'm going to miss whenever they do knock down this brilliant little stand that we have here in the Clan stand.
Well, their hope is the terrace in front of the stand will keep that atmosphere, and that's where all the noise will come from. And of course, there's going to be a vast terrace on the side that I'm on. Dave, final thoughts?
Yeah. I wish there should be something. There should be something before everything is done where people can come in and just do this, just wander around. I mean, I've never been on the pitch.
That's why you wanted to do this.
Yeah, they should be able to. Everybody can. And the little kids will always say I was on the pitch in Connacht because we saw even the minis came back tonight. Well, brilliant. I think if we get a chance that everybody can come here and just have a walk around and just see it and just take it in, and because it will change and it will be different. I mean, it'll be different but good, as distinct from some grounds in this country which are different but bad. I hope that we do it in a way, and I will pick out this one ground. I thought we go in a way that's Ravenhill, where it is modern. It is designed to, as for almost, I'd use the words, a customer experience. But yes. My God, once the whistle goes,
it's still a huge terrace.
And it's a huge terrace. And I'd love it that we modernise it in a way that kind of, to mention Steve Borthwick, Leicester did. I love that stadium, even though there was a giant pole right in front of us. We can avoid that, but yeah, give everybody a chance to just walk around and experience this on night when it's empty and it's eerie, but it's just magnificent.
Beautiful. Let's finish on that. We'll be back here.
I want something to finish on. The most exciting thing for me today was watching Bundy's little kid, who he'd left. He had to go and get involved in the clapping the guys off and give them something. And his little daughter's been running around. At various points, people were picking her up and having her, and various players were picking her up. And she obviously knew these guys because she was very comfortable with them. But Andy was being interviewed by RTE, and she was slowly but surely making her way down to the thing. And she almost got there when someone grabbed her and brought her back to bring her back. And I was just cheering her on. I was just going, oh, go on, it would have been so good. But it was brilliant. It was great to see. And it was great to see the players, big rugby players who've just been hammering around the rugby field, get a little kid and just pass her around as if she was just this little toy, and they were just checking to see where Bundy was, and Bundy was quite happy for her, and she seemed so comfortable with them all. So well done, lads.
Yeah, that's lovely. Good way to finish. All right, Dave's memory was Glasgow semi-final, which got us to the final. Why don't we throw that in there as a little clip to finish on? Because what a moment that was in the Sportsground. The last few seconds of Connacht beating Glasgow for the second time in as many weeks to get to the final that Glasgow were meant to be in. And we all know what happened after that.
20 seconds left. Connacht have the ball. Seconds.
Loose, cut it loose. Break out or nothing changes. Side